2022 was an incredible year for Sonic with a lot of content, and now in 2023, we're wondering what the next Sonic game will be. There have been some rumblings for a while about a new modern 2D Sonic game happening possibly this year. We have had a lot of 2D Sonic games with different gameplay styles. It's possible the new 2D Sonic game could feature a unique gameplay style and be different. Perhaps maybe Sonic Frontiers might have some type of correlation with the new 2D Sonic game, and maybe we might see some aspects of Frontiers in the next new 2D Sonic game. How's it going, everyone? This is MV here with another topic video, and in this video I have a theory I'd like to share with you. What if the new 2D Sonic game will be inspired or take inspiration from Sonic Frontiers? What do I mean by that? Well, firstly, as mentioned before, Sonic the Hedgehog has had a lot of 2D games, and there have been different eras of Sonic throughout the franchise's history. Currently, there are 4 different eras of Sonic. The first is the Classic era, the second is the Adventure era, third is the Boost era. Finally, we are in the Open Zone era. Sonic Frontiers marks the start of the Open Zone era. So each Sonic era featured different 2D Sonic games. The Classic era consists of the following classic Sonic games: Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic CD, and Sonic 3 and Knuckles. The Adventure era had the following advanced games: Sonic Advance 1, Sonic Advance 2, and Sonic Advance 3. Finally, the Boost era had the following 2D Sonic games: Sonic Rush, Sonic Rush Adventure, Sonic Colors, and Sonic Generations 3DS. Additionally, we also had Sonic 4 and as well as the Sonic Boom games, Shattered Crystal and Fire and Ice, but there are spin-offs. So each 2D Sonic series was based on the formula of its respective era. For instance, the Classic era was, of course, the beginning of Sonic. The games were momentum-based and about building speed and going fast. The Adventure era is where early 3D Sonic games started, games like Adventure 1, 2, and Heroes. Similar case with the classics, the adventure games is all about building and maintaining speed and trying to clear the level as fast as you can. Also during the adventure era, we had multiple playable characters and a child guardian. So along with the 3D Sonic Adventure games, you also had the Advanced series, and the Advanced games were like 2D versions of the adventure games. You had momentum, multiple playable characters, and chows. You also had the team mechanic from Heroes featured in Advanced 3. So these elements were taken from the adventure games and adapted in advanced games. Alright, next is the Boost era, and during the Boost era of 3D Sonic, we had games like Sonic Unleashed, Colors, Generations, and Forces. The Boost gameplay has been a core part of Sonic titles, allowing players to blast at high speeds, destroying enemies and obstacles, and to react quickly to what comes their way. Along with the 3D Sonic Boost games, we also had 2D Boost games. These are 2D versions of the 3D Boost gameplay formula used in games like Rush Series, Colors DS, and Generations 3DS, which are 2D versions of the 3D game counterparts. So basically, the 2D Sonic games are essentially 2D variations of the 3D Sonic games of their respective era, where some elements in 3D Sonic games are shared and adapted in the 2D games. So currently we are in the Open Zone era of 3D Sonic, with Sonic Frontiers being the first and latest release. But what does Sonic Frontiers have to do with the next 2D Sonic game? Let's look at some key elements of Sonic Frontiers that could be adapted in the next 2D Sonic game. Firstly, Sonic Frontiers is open zone, so how do you translate that in the next 2D Sonic? You could have a large 2D hub world to access the levels, similar to Sonic Generations. Additionally, puzzles could be included to unlock new areas in the hub world to access new levels. But what about the gameplay style? How could Frontiers' gameplay style work in the 2D game? Based on Sonic's moveset and controls, he still has the boost in Frontiers. However, the boost functions a little differently compared to previous Sonic titles. In past Sonic games, when Sonic boosts, there is an aura surrounding him, and allows Sonic not only to go really fast, but also destroy enemies in his way. When boosting in Frontiers, there is no blue aura around Sonic, and Sonic cannot destroy enemies when boosting into them. Instead, he takes damage. The 2D boost games like Rush allow Sonic blasting at high speeds and destroying enemies. What if the next 2D game can adapt and implement Frontiers' boost mechanic, where you can boost to go faster but can't destroy enemies, and will have to rely on his other moves for combat? The game can also still be momentum based, with the boost working more as a speed up. And speaking of combat earlier, another major addition in Sonic Frontiers is the combat system. While exploring the Starfall Island, Sonic must use his combat and special abilities to fight enemies. Maybe in the next modern 2D Sonic game, they can implement a combat system for fighting enemies. It doesn't have to be as complex as Frontiers' combat system. Basic attack moves and maybe a couple of special moves would be great. And having the pairing return would be awesome too. Having a combat system would be more ideal in boss battles or if you're in an arena surrounded by enemies. Especially for the boss battles, I think combating in the boss battles will be utilized well and can open up for more variety and creative bosses, making it more fun. There are many other elements in Sonic Frontiers that I haven't mentioned that could be added in the next 2D Sonic game, such as upgrades, Coco, Supersonic, multiple playable characters, which we will see a lot more in the open zone era, and puzzles, which I have talked about earlier. However, I mainly want to highlight Sonic's controls and moveset in Frontiers and see how it can be adapted in the next modern 2D game. Based on what I discussed, I think it can work out, and it would be cool to see some elements of Frontiers carry over and adapted in the next 2D Sonic game, since we are in the open zone era after all. But what do you think about this topic? Do you think the next 2D Sonic game can take inspiration from Sonic Frontiers? Or do you think the next 2D Sonic game will have nothing to do with Frontiers in any way and would probably be its own game? You can also let me know what you want the next modern 2D Sonic game to be. Share all your thoughts down in the comments. Well, this will conclude today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to give a like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and more. This is MD. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.